RYUC After Action Report Essential, Expectations and Programming. This recording is part of a series of recordings reporting on an exploration into our creativity, collectively entitled Releasing Your Unlimited Creativity After Action Report, abbreviated RYUC-AAR. This particular recording addresses the creativity essential understanding about expectations and programming. Background on the creativity essentials and the RYUC material. The creativity essentials are concepts, principles, ideas, or whatever one may wish to call them, related to the source out of which our creativity arises. The journey of exploration into our creativity revealed the essentials needed to be addressed and understood in some way by an individual if one desired to move as deep as possible into their own creativity, creative ability, and creative power in this incarnation. Otherwise, one would be placing self-imposed limits on their creativity. Essentials are not building blocks or fundamental items used to create something. Rather, the essentials are about the stuff out of which the building blocks and foundational items arise. It is suggested you ponder, contemplate, do your own experiments with the creativity essentials such that you know their truth for yourself. Here I wish to bring to your attention we each have a very unique perspective of creation. What I say and write about on the topic of creativity with its relationship with the creative essence of creation are my comments based on my observation and experience from the journey of exploration into our creativity. If what I say resonates with you, use it. Otherwise, it's recommended you do your own contemplation, experiments, and exploration into the variety of topics discussed here to see which is true for yourself. Programming and expectations. There are two things we learn early in life which greatly influence our behavior and thinking, and both have a direct impact on our creative power and creative ability. They are programming and expectation. Programming and expectations look very similar, but they are different, and sometimes it's hard to see which one we are facing in a given situation. Often programming underlies expectations. Programming is about rules, instructions, mechanisms, fixed predictable ways of how something functions or how we should be in the world. Programming reflects deeply learned patterns of habit, conditioning, and beliefs that often operate automatically. Often we don't give much attention to our programming. We just follow the programming and accept this is the way things are done. There are many things that we learn about life, how creation works, about how life works, about who we are, and how we should be that occur very early in life. We just accept the programming long before becoming aware enough that we have even accepted the programming. The second area is what we call expectations. Expectations are similar to programming, but different. Expectations are about how we think or anticipate things to be based on our programming and what we come to think and believe. Again, we pick up many expectations about how life should be, how we should be, how things should work out from our early caregivers and early life experiences. Expectations are more about beliefs, hopes, or assumptions about how things will be. Expectations are created within us and they are not programmed. Programming is more of a fixed, this is how the way it is, or we're told how it is. Expectations are about how we think it should be or what we want it to be, often based on our programming. One common programming many receive early in life is their concept of God, whatever that concept may be. Many are taught God loves me and cares about me, or God will support me if I follow God's rules. The expectation then may be only good things happen to me because God loves me and I follow the rules. Then the individual becomes puzzled when they perceive things are not considered good happening to them. Similarly, there is the programming which many of us are taught to believe, which suggests a person placed in a position of authority knows what they're doing and will make knowledgeable decisions in their position, which is best for the objective of the position. The expectation is decisions made by this authority will be decisions which reflect good judgments and understanding relative to that position. Here again, the individual is puzzled when decisions made by the authorities reflect such a lack of understanding of the area in which they are supposedly to be the expert. Programming is seen to determine behavior, and expectations are seen more about projecting ideas of how we think the programming should unfold. Although expectations do not necessarily determine behavior, often they do. This is because we operate the way we expect things to be, so we make decisions and choices based on those expectations. In this way, expectations are sort of similar and like programming. But programming is something a little deeper and more mechanical than expectations. Expectations have a certain fluidity to them that we can change them. Often, when we get new information about something, we change our expectations. But in many cases, we chase after expectations when the expectations are incorrect, and then we are frustrated as to why life isn't working out the way we expect. In this regard, expectations can be unrealistic, mistaken, even though they can be changed over time. It usually takes us to have some kind of event or something to occur that doesn't work out the way we want before we act and change it. With expectations, we judge the world the way we think it should be. When expectations are not working as expected, we see or experience something that we are looking at and how we are looking at it that is leading us to frustration or disappointment. Programming is a little different. When we have something that is programmed, we sort of judge the world as not working the way it should, and we look to change where the world is not working properly. Expectations may or may not be flexible, and they are usually subjective, but a group of people can hold a collective expectation, and we buy into the group expectation. These are sort of like social and family expectations that we assume are correct when they're not. In any case, programming controls our behavior and sort of determines how we will act. Expectations are an anticipation of things and how they should be, so we control our behavior in that sense, but they are not as fixed and as rigid as programming. Creativity and programming and expectations. Relative to our creativity, the challenge is to look at how we see or expect the world to be and how we expect and see how we think people should be. How we answer may require us to go back and find where we first came to believe what we believe about how the world should be and how we come to think people should be. Or we may have changed our beliefs in these areas sometime in our life for the reason we decided to change the beliefs. But in any case, we need to ask, where are the beliefs and subsequent expectations? I met a man one time who told me, when I was younger, I had a lot of expectations about life, about what it meant to be married, what it meant to be with a woman, what it meant to be success, what success looked like, and the like. He then made the statement, all those expectations got burnt off over time. This is something I think it is safe to say we all have experienced something similar in life. We have expectations that come from our childhood that we expect the world to fulfill. As we live life, we find our expectations are not met. However, rather than learning to not have expectations, we simply create new expectations based upon what we currently have come to believe about the topic in question. Early programming is different and something of which we do not routinely become aware. Sometimes we never really address the programming and pay attention to how the program is determining our decisions. When our life isn't working the way we want, we do not ask the correct why question and ask, what was I expecting and why was I expecting what I expected? We don't realize why, and often we keep making bad decisions again and again because we've been programmed that this is the way it should be or this is how it's supposed to be. Rather than coming to realize that programming is not serving us, we continually try and make erroneous programming work. It is hard to accept we may have been misinformed or even lied to by our early trusted caregivers. When we start to become aware and pay attention to our self-talk and in the story we tell about ourselves, often, if we look, we can reveal our programming and expectations about life. This is because it is only natural to weave into our self-talk and what we say about ourselves and how we think life works. Similarly, the story we tell about our life often includes the expectations and programming that we've received in life. The challenge here is to just become aware of our thoughts and our thinking, and begin to ask why. Why do I think this way versus that way? Why do we not have the option to look in another direction or to look at the situation differently? This takes us back to holding our creativity sacred and looking at options, because options allow us to see we may have expectations that aren't valid, and similarly, when we look at options, we begin to look and say, why am I making decisions in this direction versus that direction? And it involves our early programming about how we think life works and how we should be in the world.